Hey, Leslie here with Silent Rolling Acres. So I just finished up this project in our pasture, and I just want to share a little bit more with you about it, aside from how we did the pasture upgrades. So over the years, we have always looked for ways to improve our efficiency in how we move and move our goats and sheep on pasture with our rotational grazing practices without compromising the practice of rotational grazing itself, and also how we manage the health of our animals in our pastures. With goats and sheep, we move them every 1 to 3 days, really to help minimize any parasite issues. That has to do with the cycle of parasites and some research that's gone on with looking at when parasites, when the larvae hatch and reinfecting themselves and so forth. So those numbers are kind of where we're working with in terms of time in a paddock. And so we move our goats pretty frequently. You can see them behind us. And part of the way that some of the things we've done over the years has moved from, in our permanent pastures, subdividing into paddocks. We moved away from using net fence. So you'll probably say, hey Leslie, I know you use net fence, and we do. There's other places we use it, but in our permanent pastures where we have perimeter fence, we use a smart fence and also use strands of polywire, or specifically turbo wire from Gallagher, to subdivide our paddocks. And that's just has made things a lot smoother and quicker for setting up and taking down paddocks, a lot easier to move, making that labor time a lot easier to work with. And so as we've done that practice, I've continued to look for ways to make that work better for us and more efficiently. And one of those things I started doing maybe about 5-6 years ago, maybe even longer, is set up a divider in our pasture here that is basically a semi-permanent fence. And basically we run our animals kind of as a horseshoe fashion through our pasture here, because we don't have any more pasture this direction, or we have to bring them back to the gate that they came in. And so we subdivide in the center. I set it up with step-in posts and, well, cheap step-in posts and poly wire, and got that set up. And we would just do straight lines of portable fencing with the smart fence, and it worked really great. We would connect to the hot wire on our high tensile fence, and then connect the smart fence to the center fence, and it was really smooth, because if we don't have to make corners or put down extra stakes, it really makes that process of setting up and taking down fences easier. So now it's been several years since we've had that set up, and since then I've had to replace step-in posts. Over winter, some of the wires gotten kind of ruined, deer jumping over it, just the elements, because we are in Wisconsin. So it's time to upgrade our setup. And now that I've used it for a long time, I do like this process. I've debated on putting some type of permanent wire in here, for example, a fence of, let's say, woven wire, just because then you don't have to worry about things grounding out. But just for ease of putting this up and low investment, I've gone with upgrading the center lines to a more durable post, call it a line post from Gallagher. It's very similar. I would say it's kind of like a hybrid between a step-in post and a T-post. So you put it in the ground, it stays there, but it's lighter weight than a T-post. It's pretty sturdy, but yeah, it's not a metal T-post, I guess I'd say. And the nice thing about running insulator lines on it, there's like little orange covers, you can see over there, where it holds your line into place. So we're using those throughout our pasture, along with turbo wire, which is an upgrade from what we were using. I just, on a whim, when I decided to do this, I went to our local farm store, picked up a bunch of T-post or step-in posts, and whatever wire they had on the shelf. I'm using now turbo wire, which is a lot more highly conductive, which means it's going to maintain that energy from your energizer a lot longer throughout the paddock where the goats and sheep are at, and they will in turn respect, or that's the plan, staying where they're at. taking a quick break from putting posts in for a little bit of rain. This project's been delayed over the last week or so just because of rain, but I'm not gonna get too upset about that. We've had a lack of rain, so I'll take any moisture we get, but to be continued. Okay, back at it. It's kind of stopped for now and back to fence post pounding. Started back here. You'll notice I have two fences going on here right now just because I'm doing this work while I'm grazing. I've got our smart fence up, but then you can kind of see the remnants of the fence we had been using. So we had been subdividing this paddock with just a standard poly wire and step-in posts over the last couple of years, and this is, I would call, a permanent setup. I decided, since I do like this setup, now that it's been here for a while, it's time to actually kind of make it a little bit more permanent. I'm still setting it up so it can be taken out. I guess anything can be taken out, but I'm using these insulated posts from Gallagher. They're kind of like T-posts, except they're kind of heavy duty plastic posts, so they're a little bit easier to handle. But they're way more durable than step-in posts. And so wherever I put them, I've got to know that that's where I'm probably going to want them. I did the first one I put in, just kind of learning how to use it. I did have to take it out with a fence post puller, and I was successful. I was told they are really tough to get out just because of this anchor point that's on the bottom. But I want to have something that's durable, but yet knowing where I'm using it, it doesn't need to be a full-blown permanent fence setup like we have on the exterior of our permanent fencing. So I'm going to be putting this in, and then I'm going to be using, now that it rained, it's all wet, but then I'm going to pair it with turbo wire from Gallagher. Turbo wire is super highly conductive compared to the standard poly wire, so it's going to help keep those lines nice and hot as we graze our goats and sheep. So as I put these in, I want to be sure that this area right here is facing out in the direction where I'm going to run the wire. And then on here is actually where the clips go to hold the wire in place. And we can adjust these as you install your wire at whatever level you want to do it at. But I noticed when I first put the first one in, it's a little bit shifted to the side, but now I know, kind of like any project, that as you first kind of get going, you have to kind of make those assessments. Now this also has let me grab it again. Now to put these in there, Gallagher does have a metal kind of fence post cover to go on this, so you don't put too much damage onto the fence post itself when you're using a driver. The driver we have, and then I think also because our soil is nice and soft because of the rain we've gotten, I found just for us today, using it without this metal sleeve is working all right, but know that this can really help put these in and kind of protect the posts while you use your post driver. I'm also driving them by hand, so there's probably a difference there compared to using a fence driving attachment or something that's more mechanicalized. So, but so far, so good. I'm gonna keep at it. Surprise, surprise. I was supposed to start or get back to this project this morning. Too much rain, but sun is out. So I'm back at it. Morning, so we couldn't really do anything out here, but now we're heading back out to finish up this project. Bringing my sidekick. We can't do any fencing, but she needs to burn some energy. I've got the posts up. They're kind of hard to see along here, but I have them all down the center of our pasture. I am walking through with a reel and turbo wire, and then also using these insulated clips that go on the insulated line wire. And so I'm gonna run all the way down and run back. I'm gonna start with 2 lines of wire. I'm just gonna cruise through here and finish putting these up, and then I'll take a run through with the camera so you can take a look at to see how it is when it's done. So I just finished up this pasture doing this. There's a few things as I put this in. I may at some point put a 3rd line in. We've gotten away with using 2 lines over the years. As long as they have enough to eat and it's hot, they usually stay in. So we'll kind of keep it there. I've noticed also where I put in posts, there's a few areas where it dips. I may have to stick in another post in some of those areas, but I think overall this should work well. Down the road, if I ever decide to kind of beef up where I'm at right now, I can easily put H posts in both ends of this one stretch, because the fence goes just about down through the middle but stops. I'll just kind of open this up right here, and then you can see where in this end right here I have 1 paddock in the end. And I could easily put an H post right here and on the other end, which is very similar, and then run instead of the turbo wire, I could run high tensile wire in here and use the same infrastructure, just with a few upgrades with wooden support posts. So that's where we're at on this project. I'm going to be doing the same thing in our north pasture, just because of the way we run our animals through. It just makes things a lot more effective and kind of smarter on our workload, but still not sacrificing the benefits of rotational grazing for the land, our soil, and for our animals as well too. So if you're interested in learning more about these products that we use in particular, I'll put them down in the description below. And I also have a detailed blog post over my blog, Grazing with Leslie, where you can see more about this project that we worked on using products from Gallagher. And we've used a lot of products from Gallagher over the years with our grazing operation. So it was fun to try out a new style of product for a solution that we needed to do some upgrades here on our farm.